As the interstellar dust clears, a new universe is on the horizon. Yes, we're talking about Starfield, Bethesda's upcoming spacefaring RPG. But with the brand new showcase coming next month, there are a whole bunch of burning questions that we're eager to have answered. The first of these then is Planetary Exploration. We know that at this point there's 1,000 worlds within Starfield, maybe a few more, but one thing we don't know is the scale and size of each of these worlds. Whilst we know they're not going to be a true-to-life, one-to-one scales, that nevertheless doesn't give us any indication on the size of the maps. Now, it's no lie to say or exaggeration that Bethesda have had some of the best game worlds out there. Whether it's Skyrim or Fallout, these all have fantastic maps. But could it truly be reasonable to expect each planet within Starfield to have a map of a similar scale or similar scope? The truth might be only for the main quest hubs, the main worlds within the game. There are many other worlds out there which Todd Howard himself has said are likely to be pretty barren, to say the least. But either way, this doesn't give us any details on the size or scope of each of these maps. Regardless of the size of maps, ground vehicles are a pertinent question. I've seen a lot of people ask about this over the years and over recent months. Will Starfield have ground vehicles, whether these are cars, trucks or space rovers of some type? Comment below if you'd like to see a Mass Effect type Mako, or could Bethesda do much better? The idea then of driving vehicles through these rather potentially stunning looking alien environments is a really nice one, to say the least, something I'd very much like to experience, as is perhaps the ability to get in your ship and to fly from point A to point B whilst on the surface of planets. So this would be atmospheric flight. I'm not talking about space transitions from space down to the planet. We know that's not going to be a thing. What we don't know is whether or not you're bound to fly your ship through the skies of these alien worlds. Both of these then are questions I'd like to see answered in the upcoming showcase. Next up, let's talk about resource collection. Now, there's a lot of games out there where resource collection is a major focus. No Man's Sky, for example, can get a little bit tough, although there you can grow many of your own resources. In No Man's Sky then, this opens up the concept of automation for your resource gathering and resource growing. A question I'm very much interested in is, will this be possible for Starfield? Will you be able to have your NPC crew, your NPC staff, well, gather resources for you and grow resources for you? Based on what we've seen so far, we know that crew will be able to work inside your bases and inside your ships. We know you'll also be able to set them a certain amount of tasks. Just how much this can automate resource gathering, though, is very much an open question. Let's hope it goes some way to reducing any extensive grind. Whilst we're out there in the depths of the cosmos, will we be able to freely leave our ships? We know we will be able to fly our ships around, but leaving them for EVA activities is another question indeed. The ability to get outside your ship, inspect the hull, maybe make some repairs or investigate other space anomalies or objects, or even potentially sneak aboard other ships or stations is a very pertinent question. This means that player spacesuits would need to be outfitted with jetpacks for these spacefaring activities, but it also opens up another question such as zero-G FPS combat. Comment below if you think this is zero-G combat or whether it's slow motion footage for dramatic effect. Just how much of an effect will gravity have on the player? We know from some of the UI elements we've seen that gravity does appear at least to be taken into consideration. What effect will it have on gameplay mechanics? Could it impact how players can navigate around planets? Could it have an effect on the various vehicles if they're included within the game? In short, will gravity just be a background element, or will it directly impact the gameplay itself? Now, we saw in the previous showcase footage that alien life forms do exist. The question is, how many of these are going to be handcrafted and how many, if any, are going to be procedurally generated? Now, normally within Bethesda games, as far as I'm aware at least, most of these monsters, if not all, are handcrafted. But things could be substantially different within Starfield. After all, we've got 1,000 different planets. Many of them, if not all, will have some form of life on them, whether that's flora or whether that's fauna. This is something, no doubt, that will affect Starfield, at least to some extent, but with just 1,000 planets, the variety could, well, be kept quite interesting. The question is, though, how much of it will be procedural and how much of it will be handcrafted. Ship size. We know that players within Starfield will have the ability to customize their own ship to a pretty much very large extent. What we don't know is what this means for NPC ships. So, will NPC ships within Starfield be pretty much of similar size, scale and scope to those that the players have, or will NPCs have different ships entirely, from smaller little fighters to destroyer-sized ships all the way up to capital class destroyer-like, Star Destroyer-like ships? Could these exist within the world of Starfield? Now so far we haven't seen anything to indicate that this may be the case. However, no one has said that it isn't the case, so could this be something that's going to be answered in the upcoming showcase, or is it something we're going to have to wait and see for the final release? Finally, I'm very eager to see how Starfield is going to differentiate itself from previous Bethesda titles such as the Elder Scrolls series and the Fallout series. Now, a lot is riding on Starfield and there's a massive hype train here. People do have massive expectations. To say anything other than that would certainly be an understatement. But with this amount of hype, there's a lot of room for expectations to get out of hand. Now personally, I'm expecting Starfield to be a modern take on Skyrim in space, or a modern Fallout in space. Other people perhaps feel a little bit different about that. Either way, the upcoming showcase is likely to show us just how much of the typical Bethesda DNA is going to be in Starfield, or if anything, if it has expanded beyond the traditional scope to new heights. The Starfield showcase then is just a few weeks away at this point, and still there's a lot of unanswered questions that do remain. Hopefully most of these, if not all, will be answered at the showcase. Either way, do let me know in the comment section below. What questions would you like to see answered? What type of gameplay are you interested in seeing shown off the most? Let me know in the comment section below. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys and girls next time.